What if your LinkedIn posts could literally write themselves straight from your voice? That's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. I've used this exact workflow to grow my LinkedIn audience to more than 25,000 followers. And my LinkedIn posts have helped me land AI consulting projects worth 5 figures. In this video, you'll learn how to automate LinkedIn posts, transforming your raw, unpolished, and creative ideas into finished, high-impact content automatically in just seconds. And once you've seen how it works, you'll realize that AI automation doesn't replace your creativity, but it enhances it. So I'm going to demonstrate for you quickly just how this automation works from end to end. So this is what it looks like in make.com. There's actually 2 parts. So let me show you both parts. So the first part is this one, and this is what actually captures your idea from Slack, runs it through a Claude module to turn it into a properly structured LinkedIn post with the hook, the body, and the call to action, stores it in your content bank in Airtable, and then pings you in Slack so that you can review it and move to the next stage. Then the second part is a system that watches your Airtable for when the post is approved, and then only when it's approved does it allow it to be posted to your LinkedIn, and then it updates its status to published. The beauty of this, and why this makes me feel more confident as a creator and a founder, is that I have to approve first, so the things don't just go out directly to LinkedIn without any human in the loop. And this is really, really important in automation. And personally, for me, I always like to have that final look at the content before it goes live. And this is a great way to achieve that. So let's just jump back to the first scenario and I'll show you how this one works. Okay, so everything starts in Slack. The reason why I use Slack is because it's free, first of all. It links nicely with make.com, and it's got a useful mobile app, which is typically where I voice dictate my ideas, which I then use for LinkedIn. In this case, I'm going to just recycle an old idea that I used in the past. So if you can see my Slack here, I'm just going to grab this one. And this was completely voice typed into Slack through my phone. And if you look at it, you can see that it's quite like stream of consciousness, right? I'm just talking straight from my head. I'm not worrying about structure or grammar or anything like that. It's just messy. Let's copy that and put it back into LinkedIn posts, which is the channel that I use for dropping the posts in, hit enter, and then we'll start the automation. So this will be triggered normally every day at 11 a.m. because my LinkedIn posting time is 11:30. So that gives me half an hour to generate the post, to make any tweaks that I want to, and so on. But for this purpose, I'm just going to trigger it manually. So we'll choose where to start, and we'll just select this one that was just placed into Slack. Okay, then we hit run once and let it go through the workflow. So the slowest part will be the Claude module, because this is actually going through quite a detailed prompt to structure that post in the right way for LinkedIn, which is really important because you can't just post a messy idea to LinkedIn. It's not going to do very well. So it's finished already. And as you can see, the Slack app is bouncing, which means it's letting me know that something is there. And this is a different channel. This is my marketing channel right here. Here we go. It has your LinkedIn post is ready for review. And it sends me the Airtable link very conveniently, so I can just hop over there and check it out. So let's do that. I'm using the new Comet browser at the moment, and it seems to have become my default. Okay, so this is the main content bank in Airtable. As you can see, we've got a few different fields here, but this is where the main post is. So this one here is old because it's already been published, but this new one here is waiting for approval. So this is the one that has just come out of the system. So let's have a quick look at this. So as you can see, it's taken that messy idea and it's tightened it and sharpened it, given it a hook and short sentences suitable for LinkedIn. So there we go. It ends with a question to trigger engagement from the audience. So yeah, this is quite a decent post. In real life, I would probably play around with it and tinker it a little bit, but this is good enough to be posted. I mean, there are no errors here. It's a pretty accurate depiction of my original idea. To get it into the second part of the system, I'm just going to go ahead and approve that now, and I'm going by switching this button to approved. And then we go back to the automation and into the second part of it, which is right here. In an everyday situation, these would both be running in the background, so I wouldn't have to keep jumping in and out of make.com. But because I'm demonstrating this, I'm just setting everything to go manually. This one is watching for post approval. So basically, this one here, this column here, is watching to see if that changes to approved. If it does, then this will fire. It will run it through a filter to see if it's been approved or not. So only if it's approved will it let it go through to LinkedIn. So let's just have that working and see what it does. Okay, so it's approved, it's been published to LinkedIn, and the status of that has been updated to published. So yeah, it's ready to go, and we should be able to see it on my LinkedIn profile right now. Let's go down, let's refresh. There it is. That's the whole post. Nicely written out, spaced, plenty of white space, and the hook. And yeah, that's a pretty functional post for LinkedIn. Okay, it doesn't have an image, but not all posts have to have an image with them. That is how the system works. Oh, one more thing that it does. Not sure if I mentioned it. Maybe I did. Yeah, it resets the status back to published. So you know that all these posts have already been published, and this is set up to check for published as well as, get rid of this. Hold on. We want to look at this filter. Yeah. So it checks for two things. First of all, is the published status equal to approved? So has the user selected approved? And secondly, is it not equal to published? Because we don't want to send to LinkedIn posts that have already been published, because that would be repetitive. And there could be situations where that might happen. If someone else on your team has been messing around with the Airtable, for example, that could happen. So we account for that with this filter before anything goes live on LinkedIn. That's how it works. Now I'm going to open up a fresh make.com, and I'm just going to show you how to build this from scratch. And I'll also put the full template for both of these workflows in the description. Here we are in make.com in a brand new scenario, and I'm going to build this out for you from scratch. So the first module we need is something to input our idea into the system. And for this, I'm going to use Slack. What we want it to do is to watch private channel messages, because this is in a private channel. It can also be a public channel, but I just have it private because that suits me better. So let's just get the list of all the channels I have. And I've already got one set up for this purpose called LinkedIn posts. And we're just going to do the limit of 1 at the moment. Assuming I post once a day, this makes sense. If you haven't connected your Slack, you just need to click add, and it should automatically go through the steps to connect to your Slack account, assuming that you have one. Okay, so we'll save that, and we'll just choose where to start. We'll just do from now on. That is pretty simple. That is just going to grab anything new that goes into Slack. Next up, we need an AI module to take that messy idea and turn it into a properly structured LinkedIn post. So we're going to use Claude for this because it's my favorite for writing. I like it better than ChatGPT for all kinds of writing tasks. Let's select the newest model, which is Sonnet 4.5. For max tokens, let's do 3,000, because this is probably not going to be a very long task. Okay, then the message is going to be quite a long prompt. So I've already got it saved in this document. And first of all, we have the role. So actually it's Claude. So yeah, it's not ChatGPT. For Claude, you can put the whole prompt in one go. So let's just select all and grab this. We'll select use, add the content here as text. Right, there it is. So probably not sure we really need that. Okay, let me just quickly run you through this prompt. It's quite a long one. First, we have the role, which is to act as a world-class expert copywriter and some other things there to make it produce better posts. Then the task is to create a compelling LinkedIn post to help me grow my personal brand in the AI automation niche. So you can just adapt this for your own purposes. Then you give it the post idea, which has been grabbed from Slack, and this is going to be found under text. So we hook that in there. Then these are all detailed instructions for the LinkedIn post itself. So this is a hook. These are all from best practices in LinkedIn for creating hooks. Then we've got the body, and I put 3 examples of my own posts here. So these are all the examples. It's quite messy, it's quite hard to read, but this is how it looks in make.com. You would just need to swap those out with examples of your own LinkedIn posts, assuming that you have some. If you don't have any, then feel free to use mine as your example posts. That's no problem at all. And when you download these templates from the description, this prompt will be already in place. So you won't need to copy paste it from the Google Doc. So there we go. And there's a whole bunch of rules there for constructing the post. And it ends on telling it to include only the post text and no explainers. And that's important because sometimes they give an introduction, to the post, an AI generated introduction, and you don't want that because it might end up going through to LinkedIn. So we want to keep it really clean and just be the post text and nothing else. So let's save that. That's everything we need. Then once that is generated, we need to store it in our content bank in Airtable. And this is going to be create a new record. If you haven't set up your Airtable, again, you'll need to add your new connection here. And I've got a few different connections. So I'm going to select the one where my content database is living, and it's called LinkedIn Post Creator Demo. Let's just jump over and I'll show you what that looks like. So here it is, and you can just set up a new blank Airtable like this yourself. It's very easy to do. All you need is these 5 columns. We got the date here. I usually do 1 new post a day. We've got the last modified time, which is important, and you can choose that from this list of different fields here. So last modified. And the reason why that's important is because later on, when we add the triggers to know if it's been published or not, the system can identify that by looking at what's changed. So that's why last modified is so important, because it helps to guide the workflow to look for changes. Just save that. And then we've got a column for post text, which is where the actual output from the AI is going to live. Then I like to put a drop down for source, and this is going to be a single select with multiple different options here. So let me just explain what these are. So voice note is the system that we're looking at in this tutorial. That just comes from me either voice dictating or voice recording. This system that we're learning about now is set up for voice dictating. So you talk and Slack captures it as text. But there's also other ways to input into the system, and it could come from a blog post, for example. So in that situation, you would just swap out the Slack module and you'd replace it with perhaps a WordPress module that could watch your WordPress blog for new posts. So the system is quite flexible. You could also replace this Slack with a YouTube module to watch your YouTube channel for new videos. And then you'd add a couple of extra steps to then transcribe that video and use the text as the input into the Claude module. So it's a very flexible modular system, and your input can be a number of different things according to what suits you best. I've got this one here called Competitor Spin. I don't really use this much, but this would involve analyzing and scraping competitor LinkedIn profiles for their latest posts, and then using AI to take those ideas and put your own spin on them according to your own niche, and so on. I don't really use that because I have enough ideas on my own that are original without having to scrape other people's, but it is another way to get ideas into the content bank. So just so you know that. Then I have the published status, and this is important. We have another drop down here. Waiting for approval is the default setting. So when it just comes out of Claude, it will automatically have this assigned to it. Then when you review it, you'll change it to approved, and that will trigger the next part of the workflow. And then finally, once it's gone live on LinkedIn, the system will automatically change this to published so that you can keep track of what's gone out on LinkedIn already. Back into the automation here, let's set this up now. So for date, we're going to just use this inbuilt make variable for now, whatever time you end up publishing this. Post text is going to come straight from Claude, so we will do the text response from Claude. Source, we need to switch off map so it pulls the drop down straight through from Airtable. Source will be voice note. Published status will be waiting for approval because that's our default setting. So that looks correct. So I'm going to save that. So that's 3 modules done already. Let's just a little name. There we go. And hit save. And the final thing in this part, this is part 1 of the whole thing, if you remember, is to add a Slack nudge just to let you know that they're ready for review, because this is the human in the loop step. So I'm going to just create a message here, and I'm going to pick a channel that I already use for this purpose, and it's the channel I have called marketing. There we go. And we just grab this URL for the Airtable and we drop it into the workflow. So you can easily just click on this and it will take you straight to the content database. Yep, that's everything. So we just click save again. Okay, this is great. So part 1 of the workflow is done. The part that grabs the idea, runs it through the AI, stores it in the content bank, and then pings you on Slack to let you know that it's ready for review. So when that happens, what you would do is go to Slack, click on that link, and it will take you automatically to this Airtable, and you will find that the post is there waiting for approval, right? So all you would have to do in that case is change it to approved, and then it would trigger the second part of the flow. So I'm going to put that back to published. Hopefully that won't mess anything up. And then we're going to build the second part of this. So back to the scenarios here, create scenario. I'm going to call it part 2. Okay. So this one starts with an Airtable module. This one is watching records. So if you remember, we're looking at this field in particular, the published status, because we want to know if this changes from waiting for approval to approved. And that will trigger this second automation to run. So again, I'm going to navigate to my Airtable base where my content bank is, find the right table, which is table 1. Okay, now it wants a trigger field, and the trigger field usually has to be a time that can be updated immediately when something is changed. And for that purpose, we've added a column called last modified. Okay, so it's very important that you include that last modified column with the date and time in your Airtable, or the automation will not work. So the trigger field is last modified, and you can see it grabs it automatically. For this one, we'll select publish status. We'll just do 1 at the moment. That's the maximum number of records to return. Maybe if you post on LinkedIn multiple times a day, you might want to increase this, but I typically only post once, so it's enough for me. And these two, we don't need to do anything about. So yeah, that is correct. So we'll set it for now on. Okay, now the next one we need is the LinkedIn module itself, because this is where we're going to create a post once it's approved. Again, you'll need to add your own LinkedIn account here, like I've done. That's my LinkedIn connection. Goes straight to my account right here. And the content from the post is just going to be the post text. So it's going to pull that's already come in from Claude, and it's stored in Airtable. And now this LinkedIn module is going to pull it directly from the Airtable. It's not an article, so we'll leave that empty. Visibility is public, and the feed distribution is the main feed. Yeah, so that should be fine. Let's click save the whole thing. Now, really important is this filter that we're going to add, because we only want to let through posts once they're approved. We don't want to let every post come directly from Claude onto LinkedIn without our human in the loop step, because that would defeat the object of this system. So I'm going to set up a filter here. I'm going to call it approved ? And the condition is if the published status is equal to approved. So and we're also going to add another rule. So both of these conditions must be met in order for the post to be sent through to LinkedIn. So it's the same field again. And in this case, it needs to be not equal to published. Okay, because we obviously don't want to put repetitive content out on LinkedIn. So if for some reason it's been published before, it will not go through. So we're going to click save once we've got those two conditions set up in the filter. And we're almost there. The last thing we need to do is, once the post has been sent to LinkedIn, so I've clicked approve, sent it to LinkedIn, and then we want it to automatically set the status to published, okay? And we can do that through another Airtable module, update a record. This just makes a change to an already created record. So we've got the right connection. We select our base, once again, table. Okay, and then now it needs a record ID, which is something that Airtable assigns this by itself. We don't need to create our own column for this. So I can just select ID. We can ignore all of these, because the only thing that we are concerned about is the published status field. So let's just remove map, select from the drop down that we want it to be updated to published. And there we go, that is good to go. So we click save, and we've done it. We've now got a full 2-part system that captures your ideas from Slack, runs them through Claude, puts them into your content bank in Airtable, alerts you in Slack so you can go over to that content table and review them. Once you select approved, and only when you select approved, it will send them to your LinkedIn account. In this situation, you have full control over this process, but it's still very automated in that you don't have to spend hours writing your post yourself and agonizing over hooks and call to actions and spacing and all that stuff to get things right for LinkedIn. This just takes all of that load off your back, which I can tell you as a founder is so important for both maintaining your personal brand on LinkedIn, being authentic, and not spending hours of your day doing this stuff. So it really is the sweet spot. In terms of running the scenario, what I would do is set the first one. So let's just find the first one. Sometimes makes organization leaves a lot to be desired. Okay, it's right down here. So looking at the first bit, most people post on LinkedIn once a day, right? So I typically post at 11:30 a.m. London, Lisbon time. So in that situation, we want this to run every day. So I would select every day, and then let's say 11 a.m. Okay. That's what I have on my other real working version. And activate it for now, and then click save. Okay, so that's activated. Now with the other one, let's head back over. So what you have to do is just know that it's going to run automatically behind the scenes every day at 11 a.m. Okay, I set it up this way because I normally take a walk in the morning, and this is where I typically get my ideas, and I just voice dictate them into my phone, and that always happens before 11 a.m. So I know that when it comes to run, this at 11 a.m., the idea will already be sitting waiting in Slack. So this works pretty well for me, but you can tweak it to fit your own schedule. Then let's just go back to the other one. There's a few ways to do this. So this is watching, but it needs to be set up to run at certain intervals. So there's a couple of things you can do here. It is possible to have it run every 5 minutes, but that would be really inefficient for Make.com operations because you would be wasting operations every time you did it. And if you're only posting on LinkedIn once a day, it doesn't really make sense. So as I have a fixed posting time, I like to set this up to run at a specific time as well. So it fits in with that time. So seeing as my posting time is 11:30, and I know that the first part of the automation will run at 11, let's say I set this up for 11:15. Well, will that give me enough time to get to it? Let's say 11:20. That should give me enough time. Yeah? It doesn't have to be exactly precise, but if I set it up to go at 11:20 every day, then I'll be sure to know that it fits in with the rest of the automation. So we click activate, we click save, and yeah, that is good to go. So that's waiting in the background to post for me. And let me show you an example of a post that I did with it earlier. Refresh this. So there it is. And yeah, I'm already getting a little bit of engagement on this post. So actually this one was a test. I did this just for the sake of this demo, but people are already engaging. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll leave it on LinkedIn for now. That's the system. If you go over to the description, I will include a link where you can just download these two parts with the prompt inside. All you need to do then is to upload them to your own Make.com and connect up your own accounts and APIs, and then boom, you're ready to get started using this to reduce the time that you spend on LinkedIn posting. So there we have it. That's the full workflow, from a quick voice note straight from your head to a finished and properly structured LinkedIn post. But the real opportunity here is more than just automating content. It's actually about building visibility systems that grow with you in your business. And I'm creating a private community where we're going to do exactly that. Explore how AI can enhance your creativity, expand your reach, and multiply your impact. The link to join the waiting list is in the description, and it'd be great to have you on board. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.